Liverpool confirmed 22.5 meters robbery, a tale of frustration and unfulfilled potential. In recent years, Liverpool Football Club has undergone significant changes, both on and off the field. One of the most notable shifts has been their successful business strategy in selling off youth and fringe players for considerable sums. In a world where the transfer market is constantly shifting, Liverpool's ability to extract maximum value for players who have not been central to their first-team plans has made them a model of efficiency. Among the most high-profile of these deals were the sales of Harry Wilson, Nico Williams and Ryan Brewster, players who, despite showing flashes of potential, never truly made their mark on the first team. Their departures, however, were met with significant financial returns, with each sale generating millions of pounds in income for the club. And it didn't stop there. The trend continued into the summer of 2024, as Liverpool once again struck profitable deals for players who had not managed to secure a permanent spot in Jurgen Klopp's starting wing-paints. Sepp van den Berg and Fabio Carvalho were both moved on to new clubs, with Brentford emerging as the buyers for both players. The total fee for the duo could rise to $60 million, depending on various performance-related add-ons, with FSG, Fenway Sports Group, Liverpool's owners, seeing this as a major success in terms of business strategy. It is clear that Liverpool's ability to make such sales represents not just good business, but also the club's evolution into a well-oiled machine, adept at balancing both the on-pitch and off-pitch needs. But while the likes of Wilson, Williams and Brewster are no longer at Anfield, the story of Van den Berg and Carvalho provides an insight into the highs and lows of this approach, highlighting both the promise and pitfalls of the modern transfer market. Sepp van den Berg's impressive move to Brentford. Sepp van den Berg, 23, was once seen as one of the most promising young defenders in Liverpool's academy. His loan spells at Preston North End were promising, and many believed that a solid Premier League move could help him make the next step in his development. Brentford, under the leadership of Thomas Frank, were quick to secure his signature. Van den Berg's transition to the Premier League has been relatively smooth. His performances at Brentford have been quietly impressive, with the Dutch defender showing maturity and composure beyond his years. It was no surprise when he began to attract interest from some of the biggest clubs in Europe, including Manchester City. Pep Guardiola, renowned for his ability to spot and nurture defensive talent, is said to be keeping a close eye on Van den Berg's development. His performances in West London have only enhanced his reputation, and it seems only a matter of time before he moves to an even bigger stage. If that happens, the fee paid by Brentford could rise substantially, as certain clauses and add-ons come into play. Liverpool, in turn, could look back on this transfer as yet another example of their ability to sell at the right time for the right price, ensuring that they continue to reinvest wisely in their squad. Fabio Carvalho's struggles at Brentford, a tale of unfulfilled potential. While Sepp van den Berg's move to Brentford has largely been a success, Fabio Carvalho's transfer has been far more frustrating. Signed by Liverpool from Fulham in 2022, Carvalho arrived at Anfield with great promise. The attacking midfielder was expected to provide both creativity and flair, and for a time, it looked as though he would be a key part of Liverpool's future. However, Carvalho's time at Liverpool quickly became an exercise in frustration. The competition for places in Liverpool's midfield was fierce, and despite a few appearances, he struggled to dislodge more established players in the squad. He was sent on loan to the newly promoted Brentford in the summer of 2024 in a bid to help him secure more regular first-team football. At Brentford, things were supposed to be different. Carvalho was expected to be a key player for Thomas Frank's side, offering a dynamic attacking presence in midfield. Unfortunately, his time at the G-Tech Community Stadium has been far from what both he and Brentford fans had hoped for. So far, Carvalho has made just 3 Premier League starts for Brentford. His impact has been minimal, with just 2 goals and 1 assist to his name, and he has been unable to consistently win a starting spot in Frank's attack. The Portuguese playmaker has been overshadowed by Mikkel Damsgaard, and the high expectations that followed him from Fulham have yet to materialize in a tangible way at Brentford. What has made Carvalho's situation even more frustrating is his persistent injury woes. The 22-year-old has been battling with a shoulder issue for much of the season, and in training, he aggravated the injury, leading to reports that he could be out for the remainder of the campaign. Despite undergoing surgery, it's unclear whether Carvalho will return to action in time to make an impact before the season ends. This setback has effectively derailed any momentum he was beginning to build, particularly after a goal off the bench against Leicester City earlier in the campaign. In January 2025, Brentford were reportedly fielding loan offers for Carvalho, but despite the interest from other clubs, the Bees chose to keep him for the remainder of the season. However, given his lack of impact and the recent injury, it's hard to see how he will make any significant contributions in the months ahead. The $22.5 million robbery. Is Carvalho's price tag justified? The $22.5 million fee that Brentford paid for Carvalho has been described by some as a robbery, given the player's lack of impact in his first season at the club. When compared to other transfers in the Premier League, it does seem a high price to pay for a player who has yet to justify that valuation on the pitch. However, there are a few factors that may explain why Brentford took the risk. Firstly, Carvalho's talent is undeniable. At Fulham, he showed glimpses of his potential, particularly during their championship-winning campaign in 2021-22, where he scored 10 goals and assisted 8. His creativity and ability to pick out a pass made him an exciting prospect. It was this promise that led to Liverpool investing in him, and it's also why Brentford were willing to pay a premium for his services. Secondly, the move to Brentford may simply have come at the wrong time for Carvalho. The level of competition for places at a club like Liverpool, combined with the tactical demands of Jurgen Klopp, made it hard for him to break into the starting teams. At Brentford, Carvalho was expected to flourish in a more prominent role, but injury and inconsistency have hampered his development. It's possible that with a fully fit body and a change in circumstances, he could still fulfill the promise that once made him one of the most exciting young talents in English football. What's next for Carvalho? As for Carvalho's future, it's unclear whether Brentford will continue to invest in him after this season. If the 22-year-old is able to recover from his injury and show signs of life in the final stretch of the campaign, he may still be able to make his mark. However, given his struggles thus far, there is every chance that Brentford could look to cut their losses, especially if his value continues to fall. Liverpool, on the other hand, will likely keep a close eye on his situation. If Carvalho is unable to turn things around at Brentford, they could look to offload him permanently, either on a loan with a view to a permanent move or through another sale. In that case, it's unlikely that they would recoup anywhere near the $22.5 million that was initially paid for him. Conclusion: Liverpool's business strategy and the highs and lows of player development. The story of Sepp van den Berg and Fabio Carvalho provides a fascinating insight into Liverpool's modern transfer policy. While the club has been successful in extracting good value from players who have not made the grade at Anfield, the case of Carvalho highlights the risks inherent in such dealings. Liverpool's ability to sell players for significant sums while reinvesting those funds wisely has become a key feature of their business model. And the sales of Van den Berg and Carvalho will likely be seen as an example of the club's acumen in managing their resources. For Carvalho, the future remains uncertain. His $22.5 million price tag might look increasingly steep if he fails to make an impact at Brentford, but it is also possible that, with time, he could develop into the player that Liverpool once saw in him. Until then, though, the deal will be remembered as one of frustration, missed opportunity, and the ever-present reminder that football, like business, is a game of high stakes and fine margins. While some might call it a robbery, time will ultimately tell whether the deal proves to be a bargain for Brentford or a costly mistake that will see them regret the money spent on a player who has yet to meet expectations. For Liverpool, however, it remains another example of their ability to manage their business shrewdly, regardless of the player's eventual outcome on the field.